Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm going to be doing a Code Talker deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that focuses around swarming the board with all sorts of amazing link monsters like Firewall, Dragon, Singularity, which is an insane boss monster. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Microcoder. Microcoder is definitely a 3 of in the build, and this card is just absolutely crazy because if a Cyberse monster you control would be used as a link material for a Code Talker monster, you can use this card in your hand as a material, which is insane to help you link climb into other plays. And if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as a material for a link summon of a Code Talker monster, you can add a Cyanide spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really amazing effect to be able to search out a copy of Cyanide Codex with this card's ability. We then play a single copy of Code Generator. Code Generator is really good as a one of in the build, and this card is really good and has a similar effect to your copy of Microcoder that if you're a Cyberse monster you control would be used as a link material for a Code Talker monster, you can use this card in your hand as a material, which is a great effect to be able to do to help you link climb into other plays. And if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as a material for a link summon of a Code Talker monster, you can send a Cyberse monster with 1200 or less attack from your deck to the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to send something like a copy of Dotscaper from your deck to the grave off this card's ability. We then play a single copy of Code Exporter. Code Exporter is really good as a one of in the build and has a similar effect just like your copy of Code Generator and Microcoder that you can use this card in your hand as a material, which is a great ability about this card. And if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as a material for the link summon of a Code Talker monster, you can target a level 4 or lower Cyberse monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is great to help you recycle your resources. We then play 3 copies of Firewall Defensor. Firewall Defensor is probably the best normal summon in the entire build, with the ability that if this card is sent to the grave as a material for the link summon of a Cyberse monster, you can special summon a Firewall monster from your deck except another copy of this card, which is a great ability for this card to have. And if a Firewall monster that you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can manage this card from your graveyard instead, giving you a little bit of protection for your Firewall boss monsters. We then play a single copy of Firewall Guardian. Firewall Guardian is a great card to summon off Defensor's ability, and this card is just really good overall in the deck. Is if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for the link summon of a Cyberse monster, then you can special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field, which is an insane ability. We then play a single copy of Firewall Phantom. Firewall Phantom is also a really good option to be able to summon off your copy of Defensor because this card has a great effect that if it's sent to the grave as a material for the link summon of a Cyberse monster, then you can add a Cyanide spell or trap from your deck to your hand, then discard a card, which is a really cool ability just to be able to search out any of your Cyanide spells or traps that you need from your deck to your hand. You can also banish this card from the graveyard, and during the end phase of this turn, you shuffle a Cyberse monster from your graveyard back into the deck, which is great to help you also recycle your resources. We then play 3 copies of Lady Debug. Lady Debug is really good as a 3 of. This card is basically the Stratos of the deck, and I really like playing this card at 3 now that we don't have such a heavy math package in this build. And this card is great because if it's normal or special summon, you get to add a level 3 or lower Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand. And we have a bunch of options in the deck like Backup Secretary, Dotscaper, Code Generator, and even Microcoder that you can search off this card's ability. We then play 3 copies of Parallel XZ. Parallel XZ is definitely a 3 of in the build, and this card is just an awesome extender because if you link summon, you can just special summon this card to your side of the field from your hand, and then special summon an additional copy of Parallel XZ from your deck to your side of the field, which is a great ability to be able to do with this card. They both become level 4, and they both go down to 1000 attack and defense points, but it's really good to be able to get them on your side of the field so you can start link climbing into other plays. We then play a single copy of the Adagnister Shield. Adagnister Shield is just a really good extender in the deck because it lets you target a Cyberse effect monster you control, negate its effects, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand, which is a great ability about this card just to be able to get it on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Backup Secretary. Backup Secretary is just an awesome extender as well, that if you control a Cyberse monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. We play a single copy of Dotscaper. Dotscaper is really good because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it, and if this card is banished, banished, you can special summon it, but you can only use each effect of this card once per duel. We then play a single copy of Math Mech Addition and a single copy of Math Mech Subtraction. These cards are still really good in the deck as one each. They do have a similar ability that you either drop a monster's attack points down by 1,000 or boost it up by 1,000, and then special summon these cards from your hand, making them really good extenders in the deck to be able to get on your side of the field because they are Cyverse monsters. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's an amazing 3-of in the build just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then also play a single copy of Droll and Lockbird and a single copy of Nibiru, just because we're using these cards for Crossout Designator to make sure that we don't get hand trapped while we're going through all of our plays. With cards like Crossout Designator, we can stop Nibiru and we can stop Droll, which are big hits against us. So we want to play these cards at 1 each to make sure we can use them for Crossout Designator targets. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Cynet Codex. Cynet Codex is one of the most important cards in the entire deck, with a crazy powerful effect that if a Code-Talker monster is special summoned from the extract to your field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters to add a Cyverse monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon from the extract for the rest of the turn except Cyverse monsters, even if this card leaves the field, and you cannot add other monsters with that same attribute to your hand by this effect of Cynet Codex this turn, and you can only activate the effect of this card once per chain, which is insane because we play a bunch of different attributes in the extract that we can use this card with to be able to get multiple searches, which is really cool in a single turn to help us link climb into some insane plays. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1-of in the deck, basically just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you or going in for all of your plays. We then play 2 copies of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator at 2 is really good in the deck. I don't really want to play 3 copies in this build because it'll break a little bit, but this card is really good to make sure that we don't get hand trapped while we're going in for all of our plays. Just like our copy of Called by the Grave, but we're using this card to prevent cards like Nibiru and copies of Droll and Lockbird, but it's just really good overall in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Cynet Mining. Cynet Mining is definitely a 3-of in the build, and this card is so important in the deck to be able to use to basically send a card from our hand to the graveyard to be able to add a level 4 or lower Cyverse monster from your deck to your hand, which is just such an important ability about this card, just to help you get to cards like Firewall Defensor, which is just going to help us out so much. We then play 3 copies of Small World. Small World is really good because there's a lot of bridges in the deck with Small World to be able to use in this deck, and it's really good just to be able to search out the exact cards you need with Small World and cards like Cynet Mining, which is just really important, which is also why we're playing Crossout Designator for cards like Droll, because we do search a lot in this deck, so you really want to be able to stop hand traps, which Small World is just crazy at helping you get to the exact cards you need though. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really good to be able to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. We then play a single copy of Cynet Conflict. This card is an awesome counter trap that we can use in the deck to be able to negate spells, traps, or monster effects activated while we control a Code-Talker monster, and negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card, which is just a really cool ability just to be able to deal with our opponent's cards with this card's ability as an awesome counter trap that is searchable in the deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Firewall Dragon Singularity. This card is a crazy powerful Link 6, which is one of the only Link 6s in the entire game, with a crazy powerful effect that quick effect you can target cards your opponent controls or in their graveyard up to the number of different card types, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, and XZ that you control and in your graveyard and return them back to the hand. Also, this card gains 500 attack for each card returned by this card's ability, and if a monster this card points to is destroyed by battler or sent to the graveyard, then you can target a Cyverse monster in the the grave and special summon it, which is great just to help you swarm the board. We then play a single copy of Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz. This card is an awesome OTK piece that just is a really cool card that negates any monster effect activated by your opponent during the battle phase, and quick effect, you can send a Cyberse monster from your deck or extract to the graveyard, and if you do, this card gains the attribute of that monster sent to the graveyard. Also, it gains 2,500 attack points, and you can only use the effect this card once per turn. And this card can attack monsters a number of times each battle phase up to the number of different attributes this card has, which is a really cool effect. And the card we're usually sending to the graveyard off this card's ability is going to probably be our Deceive Worm, so we can have a spell trap negate in the graveyard, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of the original Firewall Dragon, which we do have the Ghost Rare for this profile. And this card is really cool in the deck as one of. It's just an awesome Cyberse monster we can summon to our side of the field and helps out a lot as an extender in the deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. Access Code is just really good at popping cards on the field and can come out absolutely massive in the deck to be able to OTK the opponent. One copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. Heat Soul is really good in the deck as one of, because this card is basically Pot of Greed. Every turn we can pay 1,000 life points to draw a card, which is really nice. One copy of X-Code Talker. This card locks down one of our opponent's zones when it's on the field. But it is a Wind Code Talker monster, which helps us out with our copy of Codex to be able to search out cards like Exporter, which is just really nice. We then play a single copy of Protect Code Talker. This card is great for its arrows, and it's overall just a fantastic card that can actually special summon itself back from the graveyard, because if you control a Firewall Link monster, quick effect, you can manage Link monsters from your graveyard whose combined Link rating equals exactly 3 to special summon this card from your grave, but banish when it leaves the field, which is great to help you Link climb in this deck. We then play a single copy of Transcode Talker. This card is Walking Monster Reborn and a definite one-up in the build. And just between these right here, we're playing Dark, Fire, Wind, and Earth. And we also play a Light Code Talker in the deck as well, giving us a bunch of different attributes to be able to search off our copy of Codex. We then play a single copy of Update Jammer. Update Jammer is really good to be able to use as a material for your copy of Access Code so that it can attack multiple times, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Code Talker Inverted, which is our Light Code Talker monster. And if this card is Link Summon, you can special summon a Cyberse monster from your hand to a zone this card points to, which is great just to extend your plays. One copy of Splash Mage. This card is also Walking Monster Reborn. One copy of G-Golem Crystal Heart. G-Golem Crystal Heart is really good to be able to bring back your copy of your Transcode Talker, because you can target an Earth Link monster in your graveyard and special summon it to a zone this card points to, which is great to be able to bring it back from the graveyard to your side of the field so you can Link climb into other plays. We then play a single copy of Link Decoder. This card is one of the most important cards in the entire extract, and the first card we're going to be summoning out of the extract is this card has the ability, if this card is sent to the grave as a material for a Cyberse Link monster with 2,300 or more original attack, you can special summon this card back to your side of the field, but banish when it leaves the field, which is just such a cool ability to be able to get this card back on your side of the field and keep Link climbing. We then play a single copy of Link Rebo. This card helps us with traps, and then finally we play a single copy of Cyberse Deceive Worm. Deceive Worm is really good as a one-of in the build because this card has a crazy powerful effect that when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect while you control a Link 4 or higher Cyberse monster, quick effect banish this card from your grave or field to negate that activation, which is great to be able to use this card to be able to send to the grave off the effect of your Neo Tempest Terahertz, which is just really nice. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy this deck. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Code Talker before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's really fun to be able to play, and it's absolutely crazy how easy it is to Link climb in this deck. And it's really cool the inboards that you can make to be able to OTK your opponent and just establish insane fields. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.